Hey there, folks. If you want to stay ahead of the storm and get the latest updates, make sure you follow SkyAlert USA. Support us by subscribing, liking, and dropping a comment. We really appreciate it. Welcome back to SkyAlert USA, your #1 source for the most critical, up-to-the-minute weather news across the United States and Canada. I'm your host, and today, Wednesday, February 18th, 2026, we have a massive, high-impact weather report that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. From the snow-buried Sierra Nevada mountains to a developing nor'easter threatening the entire northeast corridor, this is one of the most active and dangerous winter weather patterns we have seen in years. Stay with us all the way to the end because we have alerts, warnings, and a 3-day forecast that could directly affect your safety and travel plans. Let's get right into it. All right, let's dive into Section 1, the big picture. What is driving today's weather? To understand what is happening today across the United States and Canada, we need to start in the stratosphere, literally miles above our heads. At the core of this explosive winter weather pattern is what meteorologists call a sudden stratospheric warming, or SSW event, which triggered a full-scale polar vortex collapse in mid-February. This is not a minor disruption. When the polar vortex breaks down, the invisible wall that normally keeps the coldest Arctic air locked over the North Pole is destroyed. That frigid air then has a direct path southward, deep into the United States and across Canada. The polar vortex has essentially split into 2 separate lobes, creating what scientists call a textbook disruption. High-pressure blocking has established itself over Greenland, which acts like a wall diverting Arctic air straight down into North America. Meanwhile, a deep upper-level trough is positioned from the western United States all the way across the Atlantic. This setup is the engine powering multiple storm systems, Arctic blasts and blizzard conditions simultaneously across the country. Adding one more layer of complexity, the background ocean pattern is transitioning. La Niña is fading toward ENSO neutral, and long-range models already show a rapid emergence of El Niño by summer 2026. This transition is removing the typical tropical constraints on weather, allowing high-latitude dynamics, the polar vortex chaos, to fully run the show. The result is an unusually active and volatile late winter. This is not just a one-day story. This pattern is expected to persist through the rest of February and potentially into early March. Buckle up, America. Now moving on to Section 2, the western United States, Sierra Nevada, under siege. Starting on the west coast, the Sierra Nevada mountain range in California is experiencing a relentless back-to-back hammering from Pacific moisture. Multiple embedded upper-level waves are tracking through a deep upper trough, and the moisture is extraordinary. Here is what the National Weather Service has confirmed for today and the coming days. The Lake Tahoe Basin is forecast to receive 18 to 30 inches of new snowfall at lake level, with the surrounding Sierra peaks buried under 2 to 5 additional feet of snow. Valley winds are gusting from 35 to 45 miles per hour, while ridge gusts could exceed 100 miles per hour. Yes, you heard that right. Hurricane-force winds on Sierra ridges. The National Weather Service has already issued stark warnings that travel on major mountain passes will become very difficult to impossible during peak storm intensity. In the central and southern Sierra, which includes areas around Yosemite, Sequoia, and Kings Canyon National Parks, snowfall totals of 2 to 5 feet are forecast at elevation. Interstate 80 through the Sierra has already experienced shutdowns, with reports of vehicles becoming stuck and multiple crashes across key mountain passes. Over in Nevada, particularly the eastern Sierra slopes, the Las Vegas NWS office has issued watches covering through Wednesday evening. Snow totals could reach more than 3 feet above 8,000 feet elevation, with wind gusts of 55 miles per hour, causing near-zero visibility. Whiteout conditions and prolonged travel shutdowns are not just possible, they are likely. Mono County faces an especially dire outlook, 15 to 30 inches west of Highway 395, with 2 to 4 feet in the High Sierra, and winds gusting over 100 miles per hour on exposed ridges. If you have any travel plans through these mountain corridors today or tomorrow, the message from authorities is simple: do not go. Meanwhile, Southern California is being battered by heavy rain. Multiple rounds of storms are soaking the region, causing flash flood concerns in burn scar areas and low-lying communities. The combination of heavy mountain snow and significant lowland rainfall is making this a complex, multi-hazard event for the entire western region. Section 3, the Upper Midwest and Great Plains. Another storm incoming. Across the Upper Midwest, a strong winter system is continuing to push through today. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and the Great Lakes region are dealing with heavy snow, blowing snow, and dangerously cold wind chills. Lake effect snow bands are being energized by the cold Arctic air flowing over the still relatively warm Great Lakes, producing localized heavy snow bursts that can drop 2 to 4 inches per hour in concentrated bands. A fresh storm system is developing in the northern and central plains, expected to bring a significant new round of snowfall to the Dakotas, Nebraska, and Kansas as we move from Wednesday into Thursday. This system will interact with bitterly cold Arctic air already in place, meaning temperatures will crash rapidly behind the snow. Wind chills of -20 to -40 degrees Fahrenheit are possible in portions of North Dakota and Minnesota in the coming days. Montana and Wyoming are also under siege from the active western pattern, with winter storm warnings already in effect across multiple county-level zones. Snowfall totals of 12 to 20 inches are forecast across elevated terrain, with dangerous road conditions on major highway corridors. Fire weather is not being overlooked either. The National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center has flagged an extreme risk of fire weather across portions of the central and southern high plains, where dry, windy conditions on the southern edge of the storm track create red flag conditions. This is the dangerous contrast of this pattern. Blizzard conditions to the north, critical fire weather just hundreds of miles to the south. Section 4, the central and eastern United States, warm interlude before the cold crashes. Here is something that might surprise you. Much of the central to eastern United States is actually experiencing well above average temperatures today, Wednesday, February 18th. This is a direct result of the Madden-Julian Oscillation, a powerful tropical atmospheric wave, temporarily interfering with the full downward propagation of the stratospheric warming impact. The warm air is being pumped northward ahead of a coming cold front, creating a brief but significant warm-up. Cities like Chicago, St. Louis, Nashville, Charlotte, and even Washington, D.C. are seeing temperatures running 10 to 20 degrees above normal for mid-February. But meteorologists and severe weather experts are urgently warning the public. This warmth is a trap. The cold is coming, and it is coming fast and hard. A strong cold front is expected to sweep across the eastern United States through the weekend, with temperatures expected to fall 5 to 15 degrees below normal across a wide swath of the northeast by early next week. The coldest conditions are forecast for the northeast, where wind chills will once again plunge to dangerous levels. In the southeast, including Georgia, Tennessee, and the Carolinas, the region is still recovering from the catastrophic January 22nd to 27th winter storm that dumped historic snowfall across the region and caused a large-scale disaster. FEMA disaster declarations remain active across multiple states, including Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana. The brief warm-up today is providing some respite for recovery crews, but forecasters warn residents to not be lulled into complacency. Section 5. Critical warning. Nor'easter threat for the Northeast. Here is the headline that every resident from Washington, D.C. to Boston needs to hear right now. The National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center has raised concerns about a developing nor'easter for Sunday night into Monday, February 22nd to 23rd. This is still carrying some uncertainty, but the signal is growing. A low-pressure system is expected to develop along a boundary across the Deep South late Saturday, deepening as it moves up the mid-Atlantic coast and exits into the open ocean Sunday. As it does, it has the potential to organize into a classic nor'easter, bringing heavy snow and rain to the I-95 corridor, gusty winds and rough surf conditions to coastal areas. The National Weather Service is specifically flagging rain and inland snow for portions of the mid-Atlantic and Northeast, along with gusty coastal winds. New York City, Philadelphia, Boston, Hartford, Providence, and surrounding metro areas are all in the watch zone. Given how active and cold this pattern has already been, this system deserves very serious attention. Stay glued to SkyAlert USA for updates as the models converge on the nor'easter track through the week. We will have a dedicated video the moment the picture becomes clearer. Our neighbors to the north are facing their own severe conditions today. Ontario and Quebec remain in an active winter weather pattern, with the I-95 equivalent, major Trans-Canada corridor sections, at risk from further wintry precipitation and fast temperature swings through the week. Toronto Pearson International Airport is still in recovery mode following the historic January 25th storm that delivered 46 centimeters of snow in a single day, the most ever recorded at the airport since records began in 1937. Western Canada is feeling the influence of the Western Trough, with British Columbia experiencing significant mountain snowfall and Vancouver Island dealing with wet and windy conditions. In the prairies, the deep cold pattern associated with the collapsed polar vortex continues to bring below-average temperatures to Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Wind chills in the prairies remain life-threatening in some areas, with warnings urging residents to limit outdoor exposure. Looking at the extended range, the late February period after the 20th shows a low-pressure area returning over the northeastern United States and into Atlantic Canada, with cold pressure anomalies rebuilding over Western Canada and the Western US simultaneously. This is a signal of the polar vortex reasserting its surface influence after the brief MJO interference. Canada should prepare for continued cold and additional storm events heading into the last week of February. Here's a look at your three-day forecast for February 18th through the 20th, 2026. Wednesday, February 18th, today. West Coast and Sierra Nevada, extreme snowfall continues, with feet of snow in the mountains and honestly dangerous travel conditions. There's also a flash flood risk in Southern California, Upper Midwest and Great Lakes, heavy snow, lake effect bands, and wind chills ranging from -10 to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. In the plains, there's a fire weather risk to the south and a snowstorm developing in the north. Central and eastern US, it's anomalously warm, about 10 to 20 degrees above normal, so enjoy it while it lasts. In the northeast, it's a mild interlude, but stay weather aware. The nor'easter threat is growing. Up in Canada, cold in the prairies, active conditions in the British Columbia Mountains, and Ontario is still recovering. Moving on to Thursday, February 19th. A significant new winter storm tracks from the northern plains into the upper Midwest, dropping 6 to 14 inches of snow across the Dakotas and into Minnesota. Travel will be highly impacted. In the western US, Sierra snowfall begins to taper but remains heavy through the day, and roads start to reopen cautiously. Great Lakes lake effect events taper off, but the cold remains locked in place, with wind chills persisting in the -20-degree range in parts of Michigan and Wisconsin. In the eastern U.S., a cold front begins its approach, and temperatures start falling from the northwest. Now, Friday, February 20th. Along the eastern seaboard, a cold front pushes through and temperatures tumble. New York City goes from the upper 40s on Wednesday to potentially the upper 20s by Friday night. In the southeast, cold reinforcement arrives, and Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee should expect freezing temperatures overnight. In the northwestern Rockies, the active pattern continues. Winter storm warnings likely remain in effect for mountain zones. And finally, nor'easter watch. All eyes turn to the weekend low developing in the Gulf of Mexico region. Let's run through the active alerts summary as of February 18th, 2026. Winter storm warnings are in effect for California. That's the Sierra Nevada, including the Eastern Sierra and White Mountains, Montana, Wyoming, portions of the upper Midwest, western and central regions of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and Alaska. Winter weather advisories are up for northern Michigan, the upper peninsula of Michigan, far northeastern Wisconsin, as well as portions of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Blizzard warnings are posted for portions of Alaska. Fire weather and red flag warnings are active in the central and southern high plains. Flood watches are in effect for portions of Southern California, especially burn scar areas and low terrain. FEMA disaster declarations for active recovery are ongoing in Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, and other southeastern states still dealing with the impacts from the January 22nd through 27th winter storm. That is your full SkyAlert USA weather briefing for Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. This is honestly one of the most complex, multi-hazard winter weather patterns we have seen in years, driven by the Polar Vortex collapse, a transitioning ENSO, and an unusually active Pacific jet stream. Whether you are in California, the Midwest, the South, the Northeast, or across the border in Canada, this pattern directly affects you. Please share this video with your family and friends who need to know what is coming. Hit the like button, subscribe to SkyAlert USA, and ring that bell so you never miss a critical weather update. We will be back with a dedicated nor'easter update as soon as the track firms up. Stay safe, stay prepared, and we will see you in the next one. This is SkyAlert USA, watching the